Hey everybody, welcome to the fourth video. Hopefully this will be a short one, but we are still talking about post-transductional visual processing. And in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about parallel processing. Parallel processing refers to the ability of the brain to process many different aspects of a visual scene separately and simultaneously. This explains why we can process a visual scene so incredibly fast. You want to think divide and conquer here, okay? Divide and conquer. And what divide and conquer basically means is our visual scene is divided into several different simpler aspects, and each one of those aspects of a visual scene is processed in a different area in our visual cortex at the same time and then brought together for recognition. So separate but simultaneously. This explains how we can do things so incredibly fast visually. Kind of like when a car is constructed, they don't make all the parts in that car factory, right? They put together the engine from parts built someplace else. They build the chassis in a different location, built from parts that are made in a different location. The body, the exterior, the glass, the windows, the electronic components, etc. They're all brought together into a center location, and that car is put together on an assembly line very quickly and very smoothly. So parallel processing then, when we have all these parts completed, all that information is processed in a higher, more complex functioning area of the visual cortex where recognition can take place. We don't do it like a computer does, which is linear, because if you lose one aspect, you lose it all. When your computer freezes, not very pleasant. But in a visual processing, if we lose one part of our visual processing, we might still be able to function, and we just lose one part of visual processing. So all these tasks are broken down into simpler processes. 4 of these processes are processing color, motion, form, and depth in different areas of the visual cortex simultaneously. And of those, form is probably the most important one. The form of an object, the basic outline of an object. And without form, it'd be difficult for the other aspects to create a recognizable perception. So remember the following saying: can mother fix dinner? Each letter represents first letter of the word represents one of the aspects of parallel processing: color, motion, form, and depth. So a little mnemonic device to help you remember that a visual scene is broken up at least into the simple features of color, separate from motion, separate from form, separate from depth. This explains why we can process a visual scene so fast, because we can do many things at once. And it also explains an interesting phenomenon called blind sight. When our eyes function perfectly well and the information gets to our visual cortex, but one of those areas in our visual processing system gets broken, we don't lose all of our visual processing, but we just lose some of it. I'm going to show you a couple of video clips here momentarily. But blind sight might be like this, where we can't recognize words, and the words are there, we just cannot recognize them because our sight works, but we're blind to different features. So we're going to look at a video that shows prosopagnosia, or the inability to recognize faces. So everything in this woman's visual processing system works: her eyes, her visual cortex, but the part of her visual processing that puts faces together into a recognizable whole is damaged. Now this is an older video, probably from the mid-1980s. So some of the people they try to have her recognize are people who were famous in the mid-80s. Then we'll look at an individual who just can't recognize objects. He can't correctly identify an object, a picture of an object on a note card. Okay? So take a look, see if you can explain why this process took place.
Your mouth is getting tired.
Meet Terry Sweeney, a professional photographer. She was a firefighter until an injury damaged part of her social brain, the circuitry she uses to recognize faces. The disorder is called prosopagnosia. For example, the person Terry has been photographing here is her mother. Now, because of her injury, Terry can't recognize any face.
Make me smile.
Not even her own mother's.
I'm really careful you don't drink a lot of coffee.
In this test, Terry takes a Polaroid picture of her mother.
Terry, you just took a picture of your mother.
Yeah.
And I want you to take a look at these and see if any of them are the picture you took or not. They may.
Now, Massachusetts General Hospital researcher Dr. Nancy Etkoff shows Terry several Polaroids, with only faces showing, and asks Terry to pick out her mother.
Okay, if you had to guess, which looks to you the most like your mother? Just looking now, you can't tell which one of these. None of these really look like your mother to you.
No.
Okay.
If you just cover up the face and I just look at the clothes, I can tell you.
Okay, do you want me to uncover them? Okay, why don't I do that? I'll uncover them so you can see what they're wearing and other parts of the picture.
And see, that's her, because the pink and purple shirt.
The shirt. Do you recognize the shirt?
It's the hardest, I think, with my family, not to be able to personalize them with a face or a sense of timing. You know, it's kind of like I've lost everybody, like everyone's gone, and all that I'm really left with are facts without faces, you know?
When Terry looks at these slides of famous faces, she can't recognize them, although other cues like hairstyle prompt a guess.
Is that Madonna? Because her hair, look at her hair.
It's Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, really? I always feel like I'm struggling and always feel like I'm fumbling through myself to find a connection, to find a bridge that'll just pull everybody right back all of a sudden.
Can you tell who that is?
No.
Okay. I said Bruce Springsteen.
That's not Bruce Springsteen, is it?
Why do you say that?
This guy's ugly.
Now take a look at that woman right there. Does she look at all familiar to you?
No.
What if I say that's you?
I bet not be me.
It is.
Really?
Okay, we'll see a second video here. It's a little bit shorter. Watch this guy use his hands to figure out what the picture is on the note card.
Let me give you a hint.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a choice, and you tell me what this is.
Okay, I can tell you then.
Okay. Is this a clock, a lock, or a telephone?
A lock.
Is it a lock?
A clock, a lock, or a telephone? Okay, let's rule out. Let's rule out a telephone. What? A clock or a lock? Clock. Gotta be a lock. Must be a lock then.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not. But I don't recognize it as a telephone.
Mm-hmm. Do you recognize it as a lock?
No, honestly, I don't. But it's just it really looks very indescript to me.
Uh-huh. But your hands know what they want to do.
I know,
with
and
it.
they want to do something.
That's right.
I can see them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can just picture them, and I know
Okay.
that I have. It's like I'm undoing a combination lock.
Good.
Huh.
Okay, good. We had to work on that one, didn't we?
No shit.
Okay. So that's it for parallel processing and prosopagnosia. You want to be able to explain to a classmate when you come back to class on how agnosia may happen in the cortex. So thanks a lot, and we'll talk soon.